David Walker had always prided himself on being a man of discipline. As an engineer for a global firm, his work often demanded long hours, but he had never let it take a toll on his marriage. At least, that's what he believed. His wife, Lauren, was the love of his life, the woman he had promised to cherish through every storm. Their relationship, once filled with passion and late-night laughter, had settled into something more routine over the years, but David never thought that was a problem. Stability, in his mind, was the foundation of a strong marriage. Their home, a cozy suburban house in Seattle, was a symbol of the life they had built together. Framed pictures lined the walls, memories of vacations, family gatherings, and their wedding day, where Lauren had once looked at him like he was the only man in the world. But lately, David had noticed something changing. The warmth in Lauren's eyes wasn't the same. The way she spoke to him felt distant. It wasn't the kind of distance that came from exhaustion or a bad day at work. It was something deeper, something unspoken. At first, he ignored it. He convinced himself that she was just stressed. Lauren worked as an event planner, often dealing with demanding clients and unpredictable schedules. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe she just needed space. But as weeks passed, David couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was the little things. Lauren had started dressing differently. Lingerie he had never seen before, perfume that wasn't her usual scent. She was suddenly glued to her phone, always angling the screen away from him. When he walked into the room, she would quickly tap away from whatever she was looking at, her fingers moving a little too fast, her smile a little too forced. Then came the late nights. At first, it was just an occasional evening out with friends. Then it became twice a week. Then 3 times. "I have a networking event," she'd say. Or, "I'm meeting Lisa for drinks." David had no reason to doubt her. Or at least, that's what he told himself. But the pit in his stomach told a different story. The final straw came one evening when he arrived home early from work, exhausted from back-to-back meetings. The house was quiet, too quiet. He had expected Lauren to be home, but her car wasn't in the driveway. He checked his phone. No messages, no missed calls. He went into their bedroom and noticed something strange. The sheets were slightly wrinkled, but not in the usual way. A faint scent of cologne lingered in the air, one that didn't belong to him. A chill ran down his spine. David wasn't the type to jump to conclusions, but doubt had already planted itself in his mind like a disease, spreading with every unanswered question. He thought about the changes in her behavior, the secrecy, the way she always seemed to be a step ahead of his suspicions. That night, Lauren came home late. Too late. He watched as she walked through the door, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She looked surprised to see him awake. "You're up," she said, setting her purse down on the kitchen counter. "Yeah, couldn't sleep." His voice was even, controlled, but inside, he was burning with questions. She gave him a small, tight-lipped smile. "Long day." David studied her. There was something different about her tonight. Her lipstick was slightly smudged, and she had the faintest scent of alcohol on her breath. But more than that, there was an energy about her, one that made his stomach turn. "Where were you?" he asked, keeping his tone casual. Lauren hesitated. It was brief, but he caught it. "Lisa and I grabbed a few drinks." He nodded slowly. "You sure?" Her eyes flickered. "Yeah. What?" David didn't answer. He just stared at her for a moment longer, then got up and headed to the bedroom. That night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His heart pounded with a truth he didn't want to face. He needed answers, and he knew exactly how to get them. The next morning, David woke up with a singular determination. He needed proof. He couldn't confront Lauren based on suspicions alone. He needed something undeniable, something that would shatter her web of lies. After getting ready for work, he sat at the dining table, watching as Lauren moved around the kitchen. She seemed normal, too normal. It was as if last night had never happened. "I have a busy day ahead," she said, pouring herself a cup of coffee. David nodded, pretending to be engrossed in his phone. "Another meeting with Lisa?" She hesitated just for a second. "Yeah, she's planning a big fundraiser, so we're meeting at the venue." He nodded slowly, filing away every word she said. Later that day, instead of heading straight to work, David made a stop at a small electronics store across town. He had done some research the night before, scrolling through forums and advice columns, looking for the best way to confirm his suspicions. That's when he came across a solution: hidden cameras. The salesman at the store showed him a variety of options: pens, clocks, even light bulbs with tiny built-in lenses. But David wanted something subtle, something that wouldn't raise any suspicion. He left the store with a small, discreet camera designed to look like a simple USB charger. It was motion-activated, had high-resolution recording, and could stream footage directly to his phone. That evening, David installed the camera in their bedroom. He positioned it near the nightstand, angled just right to capture the entire bed and part of the room. If Lauren was doing something behind his back, this would catch it. For the next few days, he waited. He acted normal, never giving her a reason to suspect anything. Lauren continued with her routine, coming home late, showering before bed, giving him quick, obligatory kisses that fell hollow. Each night, David checked the footage. Nothing. Until one Friday evening. Lauren had told him she was heading out with Lisa again, but this time, David didn't go to work. He parked his car 2 blocks away and walked back to the house, heart pounding. He slipped in through the back door and checked his phone. The live feed from the camera was active, but the room was empty. Minutes passed, then an hour. David started to second-guess himself. What if he was wrong? What if he had let paranoia get the best of him? Then, at exactly 9:47 p.m., the bedroom door opened. David's breath hitched as he watched the screen. Lauren walked in, but she wasn't alone. A man followed her, a tall, well-built guy with short dark hair. Someone David had never seen before. His hands curled into fists as he watched Lauren turn to face the man, a flirty smile on her lips. She reached for his collar, pulling him in for a deep kiss. David's stomach twisted into knots. They moved toward the bed, their hands all over each other. Lauren giggled, as she pushed the man onto the mattress. David felt like he was going to be sick. This wasn't just a mistake. This wasn't just a moment of weakness. This was betrayal in its purest form. And now, he had all the proof he needed. David's hands trembled as he gripped his phone, watching the live feed of his wife tangled in another man's arms. His pulse pounded in his ears, his vision blurred with rage and heartbreak. For a long moment, he just stood there, frozen in disbelief. This was it, undeniable proof. The woman he had loved, the woman he had built a life with, was betraying him in their own home, in their own bed. A part of him wanted to burst through the bedroom door and confront them right then and there, to demand answers, to scream, to make them feel even a fraction of the pain he was experiencing. But another part, the rational part, stopped him. Lauren was a liar, a manipulator. If he barged in now, she would twist the situation, gaslight him, find a way to turn this against him. No, he needed to be smart. David took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. He saved the recorded footage, backing it up onto multiple drives and cloud storage. Then, he slipped out of the house as silently as he had entered, got into his car, and drove away. Instead of going home that night, he checked into a hotel. He couldn't bear to sleep under the same roof as her. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind raced through 100 different scenarios. Divorce? Exposure? Revenge? He knew one thing. Lauren's perfect little world was about to come crashing down. The next morning, he made a plan. First, he called a divorce lawyer. He explained everything, forwarded the footage, and took notes on how to proceed. The lawyer assured him that with evidence like this, he would have a strong case in court. Next, he started gathering documents, financial records, joint account statements, text message backups. He wasn't just going to leave Lauren. He was going to make sure she had nothing left. But that wasn't enough. She had lied to him for months, humiliated him, brought another man into his home. She deserved to be exposed. That afternoon, David returned home, acting as if nothing had changed. Lauren greeted him with her usual fake smile, pretending everything was normal. He played along, waiting for the right moment. That evening, over dinner, he casually asked, "So, how was your night out with Lisa?" Lauren didn't even flinch. "Oh, it was fun. We had a couple of drinks, talked about our fundraiser. Same old stuff." David just smiled. That's great. She had no idea what was coming. The next morning, David put the rest of his plan into motion. He had been patient. Now it was time for Lauren to face the consequences. He started with the exposure. While Lauren was in the shower, he uploaded the hidden camera footage to a private folder and sent the link to a select group: her parents, a few close friends, and most importantly, the wives of the other man's social circle. He wasn't out to destroy innocent people's lives, but the truth had to be known. Then he went to work. By noon, his phone started buzzing. First came the messages from Lauren's best friend, Jessica. Jessica, David, what the hell? Are you serious? Jessica, please tell me this isn't real. I can't believe she would do this to you. Then, Lauren's sister, Emily, oh my God. David, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say. And finally, a call from her mother. David let it ring. He didn't need to hear the excuses. By the time he got home that evening, Lauren was sitting on the couch, her face pale, her hands shaking. Her phone was on the coffee table, still vibrating with incoming calls and messages. She looked up at him with wide, panicked eyes. David, what did you do? He took a deep breath, keeping his voice calm. I told the truth. Something you refused to do. Tears welled up in her eyes. You sent it to my family? I did. Her breathing hitched as she stood up. David, please. We can fix this. He cut her off. No, Lauren. You made your choices. You lied to my face again and again. You humiliated me. There's no fixing this. She stepped closer, reaching for him. It was a mistake. I was stupid. I love you. I never stopped loving you. David let out a bitter laugh. You love me? You brought another man into our house, Lauren. Into our bed. And then you lied every single day. That's not love. Her expression crumbled. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. She tried again. David, please don't do this. I'll do anything. I'll cut him off. I'll go to therapy. I already filed for divorce, he said, cutting her off. And you're moving out. Her jaw dropped. What? I talked to my lawyer. This is my house. I'm not leaving. He pulled a manila folder from his bag and placed it on the table. You have a week to pack your things and go. Tears streamed down her face. David, please. No, his voice was firm, final. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing into her hands. But David didn't feel pity. He felt free. She was finally facing the consequences of her actions. Lauren's pleas continued for days. She tried every tactic, begging, bargaining, even guilt-tripping. But David didn't waver. He had spent too long living in a lie. Now he was done. The fallout from her affair spread quickly. Her parents were furious. Her mother called David repeatedly, trying to smooth things over, but he refused to engage. Her father, however, had a different reaction. He was livid with Lauren. I didn't raise you to be this kind of person, he had told her in front of David. You had a good man, and you threw it all away for what? A cheap thrill. Lauren had broken down in tears, but her father wasn't moved. He simply shook his head in disappointment before walking away. Meanwhile, Ethan, her affair partner, faced his own set of consequences. His wife had received the video, and she wasted no time. She filed for divorce and made sure everyone in their social circle knew the truth. David, on the other hand, was moving forward. On the day Lauren was supposed to leave, he came home to find her still in the house, her suitcase by the door, but her eyes red and puffy. I don't have anywhere to go, she admitted, her voice small. David crossed his arms. That's not my problem. She swallowed hard. David, please don't do this. I lost everything. My family's ashamed of me. My friends barely talk to me. I don't even have Ethan anymore. That's what happens when you betray the people who love you, he said simply. She wiped at her tears. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I still love you. I wish I could take it all back. David studied her for a long moment. There was a time when those words would have broken him, when he would have questioned if he was making a mistake. But not anymore. I don't love you anymore, Lauren, he said, his voice firm. I never will again. A fresh wave of tears spilled down her cheeks, but he didn't comfort her. She wasn't his to comfort anymore. He opened the door. It's time for you to go. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly picked up her suitcase and stepped outside. She turned back, as if hoping he would change his mind. But he didn't. With a final, silent nod, David shut the door behind her. And for the first time in a long time, he felt at peace.